Today we're doing a deep dive into a single, frankly stunning transaction in London's ultra-prime property market.
And when you see the number, you'll understand why.
It's a single property loss that tells us so much about where global wealth is moving and, maybe more importantly, where it's consolidating.
Yeah, the number is just staggering. We're talking about a reported 26 million pound loss on one apartment.
One single apartment at one of the world's most famous addresses, One Hyde Park.
Exactly.
That figure is it's astonishing for what was always seen as the crown jewel of London real estate. So let's set the scene for you.
Okay.
This flat was first bought way back in August 2011 for over 61.3 million pounds.
And, via an offshore company, which is pretty standard then.
Of course. And it was just sold in September of this year for 34.8 million.
And that exchange is what's so fascinating. The seller, Natalia Roskova, ex-partner of a sanctioned Russian billionaire, sold to an Israeli tech billionaire, Oron Holtzman.
So it's not just a loss of money.
No, it's a signal. A massive one. One Hyde Park in 2011. That was the symbol of, this huge influx of Russian and overseas capital.
Yeah.
We saw a record set that same year, a $136 million purchase.
Right.
This new sale, it's like a direct trade. Sanctioned Russian money out, new tech capital in. It's a sign of a profound political and economic shift.
Okay, so that's a 26 million hit. Is this one massive loss a sign that the whole London superprime market is just, crashing?
I wouldn't say crashing. If you look at the macro picture, it points to a very uneven recovery.
Uneven.
Yes. For instance, Savills data confirms that prices in this sector are still about a quarter below their 2014 peak. So we're seeing some stabilization, but it's fragile.
Wait, hold on. Stabilization sounds like a pretty generous word for a market that's still shedding value year over year. Are we just saying things aren't getting worse as quickly?
That is the key distinction, exactly. The decline is slowing down. Beauchampathi's figures show sales of homes over 15 million pounds fell by about 13% in the first half of this year.
Which still sounds bad.
It does, but it's much better than the year before. Between 2023 and 2024, that drop was a much sharper 23%, so the bleeding is slowing.
But overall, deal value is still down. The sources say it dropped from 795 million to 694 million. What's behind that?
Well, a big reported factor is the movement of key individuals. Specifically, we're talking about non-dom owners cashing out.
And for listeners who might not be familiar, what exactly do we mean by non-doms?
We're talking about non-domiciled residents, so wealthy individuals who live in the UK but traditionally have paid tax mainly on their UK income.
Okay.
With potential changes to the tax rules, a lot of them are just proactively selling these huge properties and relocating to places with lower taxes.
Yeah.
That puts real downward pressure on the very top of the market.
Which brings us to what I think is the most critical point. This huge loss at One Hyde Park in Knightsbridge, it's actually masking a massive division within London's luxury market.
Absolutely. We have to stop talking about prime central London, or PCL, as if it's one single thing.
It's not. It's far from uniform.
Far from it. Take Mayfair, for example. It's the complete opposite story. It's seeing incredible resilience, huge growth. There's a £4 billion regeneration boom happening right now.
$4 billion. So new money is literally rebuilding the neighborhood.
With massive projects like the £2 billion One Mayfair development, they're betting big on the future there.
So let's look at the data on that, the lawn res analysis. How sharp is the contrast with Knightsbridge?
It's an extreme divergence. Mayfair home prices are now 52% above the PCL average.
Wow.
And to give you some context, back in 2012, they were only 27% above. That's enormous growth, all driven by this new investment.
Meanwhile, Knightsbridge, the historical icon where One Hyde Park sits, it's telling the opposite story.
Precisely. Knightsbridge values are now only 18% above the PCL average. That's a huge slide from being over 50% above back in 2012.
So what this tells us is that the prestige of an old address isn't enough anymore.
It's not. Buyers at this level, they're clearly prioritizing brand new, state-of-the-art developments and infrastructure over just historical status.
So the single biggest loss in a generation actually reveals a simple truth. The London luxury market is all about location specifics now. Investment is flooding into these new, high-spec, regenerated areas like Mayfair.
While the older symbols of luxury, the icons from a decade ago like One Hyde Park, are really struggling to get back to their peak values.
And this raises a really important question for you, the listener, as you track where global capital is going.
What does it mean for the very definition of ultra-wealthy real estate when the market leader, Mayfair, is being defined by these huge, shiny, new development projects.
While the older symbol, Knightsbridge, is now defined by the depreciation history of its existing buildings.
Hmm.
Is the future of luxury defined by new money infrastructure or by historical status? A fascinating question. And that's a wrap on this deep dive.